Welcome into Texans Today. I am Will Scott. The Texans have made yet another move, adding Sheldon Rankins, a defensive tackle, on a one-year $10.5 million deal. Mike Garafolo tweeting out the news earlier this afternoon. The Texans have signed defensive tackle Sheldon Rankins to a one-year $10.5 million deal. Source says DeMeco Ryans gets a big piece for his defensive front. After 2 years with the Jets, Rankins heads to Houston, and we are always going to have you covered here with breaking Texans news. So subscribe for more breaking news during free agency. The Texans have made a plethora of moves and are going to continue to add players to this Texans team with all the cap space they have. So subscribe to the channel to stay in the loop. The latest member of the latest move, I should say, for the Texans is adding Rankins, who has agreed to a one-year $10.5 million deal. 7-year NFL veteran, has played the last 2 seasons with the New York Jets, and the Texans obviously needed defensive line help. They add Rankins to that defensive line where he will start this next season for the Texans. Go down to the comments and grade the signing. Type A, B, C, D, or F down in the comments. It is the pinned comment on today's video, so reply to it when you get a second. What do you think about the signing of Sheldon Rankins? I'm going to give it a B+. I like it a lot. He is a very productive player. We're going to break down his numbers here in a second, but the defense just got better, which is what I care about. Now, is it a slight overpay? Yeah, which is probably why this is not an A grade for me. But at the same time, it's a one-year deal, right? Some of these vets the Texans are bringing in are on short-term deals, which I like. Taking a look at Sheldon Rankins' numbers again from this past year: 43 tackles, 3 sacks, 4 tackles for loss, 1 forced fumble for Sheldon Rankins in New York. He was really well-liked in that locker room in New York. I think they made a run to keep him. Maybe the Jets were too focused on Aaron Rodgers, though, and let Rankins get away. But he's now a member of the Houston Texans. What's your one-word reaction to signing Sheldon Rankins? Go down in the comments section and let me know. Taking a look at the numbers now in graphic form: 43 tackles, 7 QB hits, 3 sacks, and a 73.1 PFF grade, which is really solid for the 7-year NFL veteran. Now, we're going to break down all the moves the Texans have made here in a second, and we begin with this Robert Woods deal, of course. 2 years, $15.25 million. Scott Quisenberry, you bring him back, but I wouldn't rule out the Texans signing another center. MJ Stewart, meanwhile, 2 years, $6 million. Case Keenum, I really like this move, bringing him back to the H to be the backup quarterback. Chase Winovich also signing. Mike Boone still awaiting the contract details there. Jimmy Ward, love this signing. The defensive back reunited with DeMeco Ryans. He played a lot of seasons with San Francisco. 2 years, $13 million. Shaq Mason, that was an absolute steal. You get him in the trade with Tampa Bay, and then Noah Brown. We just learned that news last night. 1-year deal for Brown. Full details still pending there. But he had a career-high 43 receptions, a career-high 555 receiving yards, and a career-high 3 touchdowns for Dallas this season. So I really like Brown. He's going to be really good in the slot for the Texans. And I like the moves that Nick Caserio has made. Let Nick Caserio cook. I love what the Texans have done so far this offseason. All started with letting Lovie Smith go, hiring DeMeco Ryans, bringing DeMeco back to H-Town this time as the head coach. So really like the moves that the Texans are making. And there's some people saying, oh, the Texans are, signing all these, veterans and whatnot when they should be adding younger players. They're going to add young players in the draft. Free agency is for adding veterans to your roster. The Texans are trying to get better. You look at what the Jaguars did last offseason, making a lot of moves, and they went from being one of the worst teams in the NFL to winning a playoff game the very next year. Now, I'm not saying the Texans are going to do that, but still, this football team has gotten a lot better this offseason, which is what matters, and I'm sure they're going to continue to get better throughout free agency and, of course, in the draft as well. Let me know what you think about the Houston Texans moves on Twitter @WillScott44. Appreciate all of you watching today's show.